So here's what I got at 2 minutes, and I'll go 47 seconds past the hour of 3 o'clock Central Daylight Time. I say that a little less sure than usual because the big scoreboard clock we've had in here for a long time, one of my favorites, it's dark.
Really?
Yeah. And I can't tell if it's unplugged or just on the fritz, and it's disorienting. It really is. It's the big clock that had the exact time, I think Greenwich Mean Time.
Sure.
And now it's gone.
You have no idea what time it is.
No, that, and now I think our internet is screwed up as well. So I don't know if that's is it Harbinger or Harbinger? How do you pronounce it? Of things to come?
Sure.
Either one. It could be one of those ominous programs between now and 6 o'clock. We call it the afternoon aardvark, the bumper-to-bumper show. Guardsy is the producer. I am the occasional host, former Inkstein Wretch, newspaper The Twin Cities. We'll have the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line, I hope, working soon at 646-86 as well. There's a lot to get to today. We have one scheduled guest. Kessler is going to join a bit earlier than usual, 5:15-ish or so, because we are out at 6 o'clock this evening. In addition, I do plan a very special edition of News on the March. We could make it lengthy, too. There's a bunch of stuff to get to. How many of the items we get through, I'm not exactly sure. Here's the latest information I have. Dateline, Tehran, Iran. This is from a number of media outlets. Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon, Iranian state media reports. So the deal that was allegedly struck yesterday, right up against that, what was it, 8 o'clock Central Time deadline or 7 o'clock, whatever it was.
7 our time.
7 our time, where we were going to basically take out the Iranian civilization. We thought we had a deal. Maybe it's just putting off the inevitable. But I thought one of the terms on our side, it's funny how the terms of what was allegedly agreed to, they don't match. We learned, I think, yesterday, well into the evening. And so now we have a report that the Strait of Hormuz has been closed, and I thought part of the demand on our side was you got to reopen that thing, or you have to open it. You have to make sure it is indeed open. So were we just putting off yesterday's deadline? Were we simply trying to, as I said, almost pretend that we had a deal for the purposes of not having to go through with ending the civilization there? And where does this exactly leave us, this open-ended conflict at this point? Because that would seem to be a fairly significant determination. Has Iran done what it said it's going to do? They're not particularly trustworthy either. So we'll have to wait and see. And in fact, I'm sure we'll get back into this. By 5:15, the story might have changed like 4 or 5 or 6 times.
Through.
That's exactly it, too.
My clock is out in here, too.
Is it?
My big red clock.
Oh, I wonder then maybe these are internet-based, too, for some reason, or connected with that. I don't know. There are days where it just feels like the place shuts down, like about 2 o'clock. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
I sure do.
And we're just sort of like, well, fend for yourselves.
Yeah, we're just out here. We're just out here.
Just keep talking on the air, and we are on the air, aren't we?
I think so. I haven't gotten any texts that we're not.
So now the problem is I can't get, to set up the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line, I've got to get to my iHeart email, which I can't get to on my phone. I get to on my iPad, but that's when my iPad is connected to the internet.
Maybe that's a good thing.
So, well, maybe it is.
Maybe today that's a good thing.
Maybe that is a good thing. Who is to say? Especially later in the show. But you can also tweet us. Let us know via Twitter if we are on the air. Via X, I guess I should say. Because we'll keep talking, and we will hope indeed for the best. I mentioned right now only one scheduled guest today. It is worth noting that, as we talked about yesterday, when it comes to your Minnesota Timberwolves, everything good that might have happened did, right? We did ultimately take care of business against, I think the Pacers were down 5 starters and 4 bench players. Did they go? I know there's you would know this better than I. There's a great YMCA in downtown Indianapolis.
Well, of course there is.
Did they just go across there and say, hey, come on, we need some players for the game against the Wolves tonight?
Who won the last game?
That's
you guys are coming with us.
That's exactly it. I mean, did it come to that? So ultimately, we did take care of business, won dramatically, and better yet for the local club, the Phoenix Suns blew a big lead at home against the Houston Rockets. And so the combination of the Wolves winning last night and the Suns losing means we can no longer mathematically slip to 7 to the play-in. We are pretty much locked in the 6th position, and obviously we're willing to accept that without much protest given the injury report for tonight's game in Orlando. Have you seen it?
I have. We may be going to the Orlando YMCA to grab some
Exactly
guys.
right.
Yep.
Mike Conley, out, rest. Ayo Dosunmu, out, injury maintenance.
Mm-hmm. Which is rest.
Anthony Edwards, out, injury maintenance. Julius Randle, out, by the way, for the first time this season. Right hand soreness. Rudy Gobert, questionable, rest. That's the one that cracks me up.
And I think he's also been ruled out.
Have they downgraded him?
I think I just saw Johnny tweet that moments ago. I'll double check.
McDaniels has missed the last 6. I think technically he's listed as questionable to play. I would be gobsmacked if he played tonight.
No reason.
Correct? At this point,
no reason.
You're in the position that you're indeed in, and there's nothing else to fight for. Sadly, because again, there would have been if you had some fight in you. And if you'd put yourself in a better position, now that Denver's moved up to 3, you'd say, well, we want to play the Lakers too, like everybody else. All we have to do is move up to 5, right? Or, perish the thought, 4 to play the Lakers. Although I guess I'm forgetting where Houston fits into this mix because Houston refuses to lose.
They've won 7 in a row.
Exactly.
They're 3 games ahead of us.
So they're ahead of us, but they are in the 5th position.
They're 5th.
Is that right?
Basically,
Lakers are 4.
Yeah, but they're tied.
Yeah, so there you go.
So Houston might be hosting.
Houston might well be, he's at the team that originally everybody wanted to play, now is one of the hotter teams, and I'm sure they would love to take on the depleted Los Angeles Lakers. So we're at 6, for better or for worse, and it looks likely that it will be Denver, although, again, I think Denver's got a tough schedule down the stretch, and I don't know how hard Houston wants to push. What's the distance between Houston and Denver?
One game, basically.
Yeah, so there you go, and I don't know how the tiebreaker works between those two teams. We can at least know we don't have to worry about the play-in at this point. And that's still, I think, long view. You go back to the beginning of the season, I think you'd say, hey, Wolves are going to finish. They're going to clinch in the final week of the season that they're not in the play-in. I don't think anybody would have applauded and said, that's good, that's encouraging, but that's their situation. And I heard your guy, Scalabrine, again this morning say the Wolves are lying in wait. They are...
He's a believer.
He's an absolute believer.
Okay.
Regardless of... And I don't know how much he's actually watched us play recently, but he thinks that all these injured guys, they're not that they're playing possum,
yeah,
but that they will have a chance to recharge, start over, and be one of the teams in the Western Conference that nobody wants to play.
I hope he's right.
I hope he is too.
I hope he's right.
I'm a little more skeptical, I think, because we see them more often than he's got to watch everything. But it was interesting to hear that from him yet again today. I would assume if for example, so we're basically going to play either Denver or Houston, right?
Probably.
Realistically.
Yep.
One of those teams is going to finish in the 3 spot, it appears. If we're 6 and Denver is 3, who will the odds makers favor in the series?
Denver.
If Houston is 3 and we are 6, who will the odds makers favor in the series?
Might be us.
I wonder if it might be us.
Yeah, might be us. My mind's eye says it should be us.
Yes.
But there's the KD factor.
Yeah.
Right? You can't forget about that.
Right.
Odds makers love Durant, which they should.
That's correct.
The public loves Durant, so that's where the money would probably go.
Yes.
So I don't know, but if you're asking me who I'd rather play Houston, gun belt tight.
I do too at this point. Even though we've had some success against Denver, and Denver doesn't really guard. Denver is very dangerous offensively, though, especially if they're healthy.
They have Joker.
And they have Joker, and they have won a ring.
Yeah.
Not all the same players.
With the North Carolina coach.
They have won a ring, with the North Carolina coach. That's exactly true. All right, let's get our first pause in and see if we can get any of our hardware taken care of. I doubt the answer is going to be yes, but I'll keep an open mind on that. Eventually, we hope the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line will be open at 64686. I've got a follow-up to our Bad News Bears discussion yesterday, briefly. I want to get back to that. I got some twin stuff. I got some wild stuff. I've got, we have over the years attempted to evaluate and rank apologies, right? I don't know how often we've reacted or ranked the reaction to the apology. In other words, if the apology is to a particular individual, how does that individual react? Does that individual take the high road, the low road? What's the right approach to take when that individual is, or I could say team, but in this case, individual is issued an apology? We'll get into that discussion. The return of Dairyland Diaries today.
What?
Yes. And in this case, not quite as satirical as usual. And as I mentioned, news on the march. Don't go away. All right, I think we got the text line going. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is successfully rebooted, 64686. Lots of folks already texting and tweeting as well, confirming that we are indeed on the air. This is from John out of Playa Vista, California. Dan and JG, listening to you 35,000 feet above Earth on a Delta flight with my 2-year-old in premium. Any inspiring words for a bumpy air? Love you guys. I would say if you got your 2-year-old and they're expressing any kind of frustration with it, the one thing you shouldn't say is what Charles Grodin once said to Robert De Niro before a flight left in one of the best buddy movies ever made. These things go down. They go down. That's not what you want to say. That's not going to, I think, take the edge off when you have bumpy air. Correct?
Usually not.
That's for most people.
Usually not.
Gallows humor, maybe it works on some. I doubt gallows humor works on a 2-year-old. I don't know what works on a 2-year-old at this point.
Snacks,
you
screens,
just buy them off, yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
I would also say, if you're sitting in Delta Premium in this economy right now, you're doing fine.
You're doing all right.
You don't need any advice.
Yeah. Well,
you're good.
Yeah. You want to get to the other side, wherever you're going.
That's true. I would have for him the big news that Russo tweeted out a couple of times this week that now on Delta flights, you can somehow log into The Athletic for free.
Is that true?
In the Delta app. Yeah, they have a partnership now.
Wow.
So I haven't figured out my cheap shot yet. There's
got to be 2 or 3 or 4.
Because I've been able to read The Athletic in the air already because of my multiple subscriptions.
You have several, we both have 4 subscriptions each.
And sometimes I got to toggle between both of them because this one's for news and this one's between sports. But now you can read The Athletic from the air on Delta flights.
I think I'm spending $600 a year on The Athletic. I'm pretty sure. And I didn't even get a hoodie or a ball. Remember when we were going to get ball caps?
We were going to get something
in return. We got nothing.
Nothing
to this point. That's not good. Can you clarify something for me?
I'll try.
This is, in 2026, it's hard to separate fact from fiction. We know that. AI from reality, all those sorts of things. But I read at least that I think he's the, see if I can find it. I think the guy who tweeted this out, his name is Jonathan Karl. He's ABC News chief, Washington correspondent.
Okay.
So I don't know if this is a fake Jonathan Karl, one of those burner accounts, or somebody pretending to be him,
right?
Or not. Did you see or read what he tweeted out earlier today?
I did not.
I'm just going to read this to you. See what you think. This morning, I asked President Trump if he's okay with the Iranians charging a toll for all ships that go through the Strait of Hormuz. He told me there may be a joint U.S.-Iran venture to charge tolls. Quote, we're thinking of doing it as a joint venture. It's a way of securing it, also securing it from lots of people. It's a beautiful thing.
It appears to be real.
What world are we in? And somebody reacting snarkily and brilliantly, do you remember, well, the old-timers in the crowd will remember the delusional mayor in the motion picture Jaws, who refuses to accept the fact that they've got a killer shark on their beaches and that the beaches need to stay closed despite the fact that the holiday weekend is coming up. And he's interviewed before, by the way, another shark attack. But as you see, it's a beautiful day. The Strait of Hormuz is open and the people are having a wonderful time. Channeling nicely the comments from that, one of the more memorable lines from that motion picture. Now, I don't know how many times that's changed. I'm guessing 5 or 6 since the president offered that up. As I said over the top of the show, the new information is that the Strait of Hormuz is closing in response to attacks on Lebanon. Remember, those reports come from Iranian state media, not exactly the most credible. So is it true? Is that what they intend to do? Is it subterfuge? Like everything else, it's you almost need some kind of a filter. But I don't think that such a filter exists to separate bravado, commentary, threats, etc., from what conduct is actually indeed taking place as well. I mentioned we spent a lot of time early yesterday on the anniversary of the release of the original Bad News Bears film. Was 50 years ago yesterday. I want to mention, don't have to spend a lot of time following it up, but I found a nice tweet response or Twitter response, X response from our old buddy Jeff Grayson, former local, Minneapolis, St. Paul TV sports heavyweight. He was listening. Can't agree more on the Bad News Bears pick. To me, there's a scene that shows the power of silence. Late in the movie, when Walter Matthau, playing Buttermaker, the manager, goes off on the Bears during the championship game, and all you see are scared kids. Silence. Matthau realized that he had gone too far. Amazing. It was the Matthau moment, realizing I'm now channeling the Yankees manager, who is out of line and out of control, has no sense of perspective about what he's doing. That was a very good moment from that motion picture. If you rented that film last night in celebration and solidarity, let me know via the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, 64686. That's 64686 as well. And we will be glad to acknowledge exactly that. Certainly hope that I'm not expecting that everybody did it, but I'm wondering if maybe somebody did, because I've not seen. It's been a while, actually, since I've seen the film. That part is true. I mentioned we're going to have news on the march coming up. We may even get into some of that next segment if we can. Apolodazzle. We've tended to, using the PELF scale, evaluate apologies, right? Whether we think they're legit, phony, semi-phony, because some apologies do the old, you pretty much know when the apology at any point goes with the not to make excuses, but
right,
that it's not going to be a full PELF, right? It's going to be a conditional PELF at best. Now, before we get to the reaction to the apology, do we give Gino Auriemma any credit for realizing his original apology was worthy of no more than a half PELF?
Yeah.
he came back with a second one that more directly addressed who he ignored in the original apology, the head coach of South Carolina, Dawn Staley. Can you give him a full pelf, or do you still grade it down because he blew it the first time and now it almost comes off as even more performative that he's been told you really didn't do a very good job the first time? How did you grade the second Auriemma apology that was a lot more specific and a lot more, shall we say, tough on himself, I think, right?
Yes.
He nailed it a lot better, the essence of his failure the second time around than he did the first. Is that enough to give him a full pelf or not so much?
No. The clocks are back, by the way. I noticed you saw that.
Well,
so
and
everything should be good.
Yeah, so is that internet related too?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Apparently something had been powered off. It's been powered back on.
Did they think we just shut her down at 2 or?
Most likely.
Yeah. Okay.
Most likely.
All right.
They said, power trip's gone, right?
That could be part of it.
We can do it.
Anyway.
They went and looked, and Common wasn't here because he was on location today. So they said they must be done.
That's it. So I'll tell you what, let's stay on schedule, but I'll ask you to answer that question, whether you give him any points for attempting a second apology, given how lousy and really poorly executed, you could argue, the first one was. And we'll get to some news on the March items as well. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open at 64686. Sponsorship available, although I guess if it were to be sponsored, we'd have to be a little more regular with it. That's one of my bumper-to-bumper afternoon aardvark goals, especially as we get into this closer to the summer months.
Sure.
Try to lock in more consistently on the news on the March. Item number one, a couple of these are local. Actually, several of them are local. Item number one comes from the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is several, I think, outlets have reported on this, although this might be a scoop via KSTP.com. Ellen Gales, I think, wrote it. Sources have told 5 Eyewitness News that Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara does not have enough city council support right now to be approved as top cop. A source close to the process said if the city council voted on Chief O'Hara now, his appointment would indeed fail. I guess you'd say reappointment. That source said the mayor has not yet forwarded O'Hara's name for official confirmation because the votes are not there. Last week, the city told 5 Eyewitness News the mayor can hold a nomination for up to 210 days, taking the process into into August. The source said the mayor's team is also working behind the scenes to try to build more support. O'Hara is now in his 4th year as Minneapolis police chief. Now, we had Andy Luger in studio last week. You were out for that, correct?
Yes.
And I brought up, the Star Tribune had a story with a pretty leading headline, something to the effect of complaints pile up against the police chief, the current police chief. And although I guess that's technically true, then it's okay, well, what are the complaints about? How legitimate are the complaints? The number of complaints apparently is much higher than any of the previous 4 or 5 police chiefs. I asked Andy Luger about it. Luger admitted that he is a huge Chief O'Hara supporter. He believes he's done a very good job, and he suggested a belief that part of why there has been pushback, in some cases, resentment perhaps, is that he has attempted to make or start real structural change. So it's a story worth keeping our eye on as we go forward with it, because I thought in most precincts, and I use that term figuratively, not literally, he was fairly highly regarded. Doesn't mean there's been perfection, doesn't mean there has been pushback, criticism from time to time as well. But we're back to what exactly, I mean, let's be honest, with this city council, all bets are off on, what they might be looking for or who might actually be acceptable to them, quite frankly. But it's a story that caught my eye. And so it's certainly worth, I think, paying attention to. Maybe Kessler might have some insight on that as well. I don't know. In this story, they did contact the mayor about the timing of his nominations. Nothing has changed his campaign in my support of the chief. So he seems to be doubling down on that part. We'll be announcing all of our department heads together in due time. And it is the great irony is that the assumption was there was great sentiment in the city that we needed a chief, really a series of chiefs that would push back against the institutional nature of much of the dysfunction in the department. And so one would then assume that it might well be that some of the complaints might be considered a badge of honor, that he's actually doing the job. Now, some of them have to do apparently with language, which might have nothing to do with it as well. But story worthy of paying attention to as we go forward. This second one is also local, a little lighter, but Star Tribune reports that did we ode this outlet when it closed? Because I'm not even sure that it was closed. Maybe we did. It was closed in June of last year, 2025. Sex World. Did we ode Sex World when it was closed?
I think we did.
Oh, did we?
I think we did, yes.
That would be probably according to form.
It would be.
But apparently it is now auctioning off hundreds of items. Hundreds of items.
Wow.
From the legendary North Loop store. It closed, as I said, last June after 32 years of business, and it has made more than 400 items available on something called kbid.com. The bids will run until tomorrow, looks like April 9.
Okay.
For the record,
can I even type in Sex World here on this computer?
On that computer, I'm sure you could.
We just got our internet back.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. It's probably very customary there.
I just want to see what's up for auction.
Well, I'll give you a couple things noted in this story. You might find some other stuff. They note almost immediately, I guess, figuring this is what people would wonder about first. I'm just reading it. Star Tribune writes, no, the 6-foot-long penis that one could ride like a mechanical bull is not among the treasures available.
Somebody already claimed that.
Apparently so.
Yeah, okay.
Nor are there any sex toys
6 foot
or pornographic videos. But there's a wealth of what they describe as other memorabilia.
Yep. I'm looking at it now.
The lot includes many vintage posters and signs for Sex World and other cheeky wall art with messages such as clothing optional beyond this point, erotic pleasures. I'm not going to read that one.
I wouldn't.
That's just, I won't read that one. I don't know what distinction I think I'm drawing here going down this road. You can even purchase the doors from the store's old XXX video booth.
I wouldn't want those doors. That's
just you.
Yeah, you don't need those doors.
It was formerly located at 241 2nd Avenue North and opened in 93. And for nearly all of its run, was open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Was there anything else besides Sex World that could claim in our community that it was open? Because again, it stayed open post-COVID. Was
right.
there in post-COVID period in particular? Was there any other business establishment that could actually rightly claim that it was open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Because now nothing's open 24/7.
Are there no restaurants like White Castle, Denny's?
That's all done now. That doesn't exist.
I haven't had the need for food at 3 a.m. in a really long time.
Yeah.
I got to figure some fast food places were open 24/7 or a diner.
Yes. Well,
I think Mickey's Diner's open 24/7 in St. Paul. I think so. I ate there before the state tournament. I'm pretty sure it said.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe there's a couple of exceptions because there used to be grocery stores that were open 24.
Yeah.
That's long gone, for sure. I think somebody will come up with some other
509 items.
T-shirts and sweatshirts, memorabilia for cannabis, old tobacco products, including a giant marijuana-themed inflatable tube man from the also shuttered THC joint. So that was part of the establishment deal. Did you find anything worth discussing that we can discuss?
Well, there's a lot of signs, as you mentioned.
Okay.
There's a Sex World trash can.
Okay. Says that reads that on the side?
This one confuses me. A triple extra large Minnesota Timberwolves shirt. Now, was that just left there and they're trying to sell it?
That's a good question.
Because I don't know if I want that. A lot of signs. A lot of signs. A lot of neon signs. There's a pink neon sign. It appears to be just a woman's body. Yep, that's a woman's backside. $81 right now. Next required bid for that one's $86. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I love going through these auctions. I know you do it when, like, Bill Walton's auctioning off his entire estate, right?
And I ended up not getting anything there, but it was.
I like to do it for old restaurants and bars because it's cool to see what they have.
Idea, yeah.
I've never really purchased anything, but it's cool to see what they have.
Somebody's saying the Cub in the West End is open 24/7 still.
Really?
I don't know if that's the
one right
current,
here,
but that's what they would be right in our doorstep.
Interesting.
Tom from Savage writes, second win sports said it best, why buy new when gently used will do?
It's true.
That's one way to
absolutely.
That's one way to look at it for sure.
You can buy a lot of lockable Blu-ray and DVD cases. You were just talking about all your DVDs and Blu-ray that you still have. Maybe this is just $5. You could really lock those things up.
$5 for all of them?
Yeah, just like cases.
Oh, cases. I see. Not actual DVDs.
Right.
Okay.
I think they're for like bootleg videos and things like that.
To be made. Item number 3, it's tough to top that, I know. This one, I guess, would be considered more serious. Have you heard about the big news regarding Minneapolis finally landing in what's called the Michelin Guide?
It's been everywhere today, and I can't say I'm moved by it.
Okay, well, we're going to get to a couple things about it. Let's set it up. The Star Tribune has written about it. There's a piece online. The International Restaurant Rating System will release a guide to dining in 6 cities that together make up the American Great Lakes region: Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland, Indianapolis, and Pittsburgh. Guess who's left out? As usual, St. Paul, Minnesota. This new regional edition has been a long time coming for the Michelin Guide. And our famously anonymous inspectors. That's from the international director of the Michelin Guide. This is at a news conference in Milwaukee today, if I'm not mistaken. Inspectors already out with boots on the ground exploring the local culinary scenes. Minneapolis, according to this story, has entered a 3-year agreement with Michelin at $250,000 per year, an investment that is funded by a 2% surcharge on stays at Minneapolis hotels with more than 50 rooms. Known as the Minneapolis Tourism Improvement District, the initiative generates approximately $7 million a year for supplemental tourism, marketing, sales, and events. This is taken, I think, in the community as a big reason for celebration, right? That for the restaurant,
you like us
system here, and how that it might bring added health to it. I want to quote your guy, who actually I think also linked to some of the stories about it. Your guy, Blois Olson.
Yeah,
and he writes. He's morning take guy. He's got every day this massive distillation of, what would you call it? Local news, regional news,
exactly,
the whole bit. I mean,
it's good.
With great, it's terrific. It's a great overview place to go to. And here's what he writes: all the Michelin news is good, but the sliver of hospitality it represents is not significant economically. A guide isn't going to save us. It's a shiny object. We have a structural economic reputation and regulation challenge that makes the Twin Cities and Minnesota an outlier. If you want real data about the state of hospitality, see this report. He says it's also released today. Now, he highlights a couple things from it, including this. Minnesota's hospitality industry is on the brink of no return. The current economic environment in Minnesota is not sustainable. And then he links to a couple numbers here. And most of them, by the way, are daunting, shall we say, in terms of how poorly the hospitality industry is still doing, And I don't know how much of this you put on COVID, post-COVID. I don't know how much we compare, how this is just the reality in a lot of cities, not just Minneapolis, St. Paul. But I appreciated his interest in trying to bring some context to this that goes beyond what's going to be a series of Chamber of Commerce-like celebrations about, like you said, you like us, you really like us. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's anything to hate, but it's going to be used probably inaccurately in some cases as a sign that we're on the verge of a turnaround, and this is what's going to engineer much of that turnaround. And if you believe this report, and if you believe the way Blois is summarizing it, that's not even close to being the case. So let's slow down a little bit on a commemorative print regarding what this particular announcement actually means beyond, as he says, the shiny new object.
I'm also all for city tourism entities investing to draw events, to draw people, to market the city.
Yes.
That's one thing, much to my chagrin, that Indianapolis has done a phenomenal job of. And I'm not even being facetious. That's what they've been really good at.
Yes.
Investing and financing.
It's important.
However, $250,000 to get on this beautiful people list a year. I know it's a small drop in the 7 million or whatever
like
it is.
one day at a Feeding Our Future clinic. Come on, man. That's nothing. You can get that back in no time.
That to me seems a little 1%er, and I don't know if I love that.
Yeah, well, there is. I mean, about the whole thing, that's who it's going to be appealed to. But sadly, I think there's going to be an effort to make it more grassroots than it is.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, why I wanted to bring up what he had read, or he had written, after taking a look at a survey that, interestingly enough, again, just came out today. And he links to it. You can get it via, well, I would just say go to Blois Olson, his X account, BLOISOLSON, and he's got it fairly early. I think he tweeted it out like about 5 hours ago. And there's a link to the entire, you could say the entire report, State of Hospitality, that was, I don't know if it was a coincidence it was released today or whatever the case may be, but I thought that was pretty interesting. What's fascinating, too, is anticipating Indianapolis. One texter already has said, I'm guessing Indianapolis is already in the Michelin Guide. So that person didn't know, thought it was going to be a good joke, not knowing that you would indeed, in this case, cite Indianapolis in a positive way, as hard as that is for you to do.
I'm going to look up and see if they are. I'm sure they are. They couldn't have let that slip. Oh, they're one of the new ones.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're one of the new. I don't know if you read that as well.
Interesting.
They're one of the new ones along with us. So we're right lockstep with Indy. You knew they wouldn't let all these Midwest cities get in there without them having something to say about it. Yeah, Detroit, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, and Indy. I hope they find St. Elmo's. Hope they could get in.
Well, here's there's the very respected Dara Moskowitz-Grumdahl, MSP Magazine. She believes, apparently, because a couple of people have sent links to pieces she's written, that the Michelin-starred restaurants can bring substantial economic benefit. So there's no last word on this. I think we should acknowledge lots of different points of view on it. But my concern would be sort of what Blois laid out, that in restaurant circles, there's a prestige to it that I think people want to kind of, raise their hands and say, yeah, we're a little more vital and we got that going for us. But will it beyond, that has to affect a lot more than two or three of the best restaurants, right? Now, maybe this lifts everybody up. I don't know. But, and I guess you could say, well, the report indicates you need some help. Maybe you get some help from it. The question is, does this fall in the classification of, if you reside in that territory of covering restaurants and being a foodie and being into what the Michelin, validation gives, is that more psychological?
Right.
than it actually is economic in terms of the impact over a period of time. I guess time will tell. As Trent Tucker would say, only time would tell Davey, correct?
I think it's a little thirsty of us.
Think so?
Yeah, that's just me. But I'm not a foodie.
No, I tend to think that way too. That's why I thought because the survey, the stuff that Blois laid out was, man, that looked pretty dire. They went well beyond any prestige thing that we can beat our chests about are really going to have a long-term effect in that regard. One other item, this is national. And unrelated to any of these other stories, but it did get my attention. As it could also, I think, be done as material, but it's sort of where we are politically. In Michigan, there's a Democratic Senate candidate named Abdul El Sayed. And this goes back about a week and a half. Got some national attention because of this, I think the ramifications of it, what it says about things politically. He acknowledged on an internal campaign call, this is via several media outlets, that his lengthy statement, remember that Temple Israel attack in Michigan?
Oh, yeah.
That his statement about that attack was a, quote, risk that really worried his team. One day after the thwarted terrorist attack at a West Bloomfield, Michigan synagogue, March 12, El Sayed released a 4-minute video, rightly, condemning the attack while tying Ghazali, that's the individual we believe is responsible for the thwarted terrorist attack, his actions to Israel's military campaign in Lebanon. So he lays out about the airstrike, killed his niece and nephew. We can and must condemn the attack on Temple, Israel, and we can and must condemn the violence 6,000 miles away as possible. But reflecting on the statement, El Sayed admitted his take was controversial. It was a risk. All of our team was really worried about saying something, but leadership is being willing to say the thing, if you believe it to be true, that nobody else is going to say. We understood that putting out a nuanced statement opened the door for bad faith critiques, but decided it was important to give voice to the complexities that so many Michiganders are trying to navigate. I would say, to that extent, I give him credit for, I think, saying the right thing. What got a lot of attention nationally was how sad it is that it was considered a risk. Now, there are political risks in that state that you can say you don't necessarily have to agree with, but that are a reality there. But the fact that you'd have to sort of play that out, debate that with your staff and wonder, gee, can we actually condemn a thwarted terrorist attack on a synagogue? Will there be ramifications to us doing that? That in itself is quite sad, even if it is quite telling. And of course, as every day goes by, we have continued connections and political ramifications to pretty much everything everybody says, whether you're talking about Israel, whether you're talking about any part of the Middle East, if you're talking about Iran as well, including the Strait of Hormuz, whether it's going to be closed, as we would say. Let's do this. Let's get a top-of-the-hour break in. That wraps up news on the march. We've got Kessler coming up probably about 5:15 because we're out at 6 o'clock this afternoon. I do have Dairyland Diaries to get to. We got a lot more to discuss before we wrap things up at 6 right here on The Fan.